Man, when I get on stage, I don't be nervous at all. It don't make no sense.
Meet Summer Walker. She went from cleaning houses to topping charts worldwide, from posting covers online to becoming one of the most raw and relatable voices in modern R&B. Known for her soul-bearing lyrics, unapologetic vulnerability, and a voice that feels like late-night thoughts you never said out loud, Summer Walker didn't just enter the music industry, she disrupted it. But behind the platinum hits and sold-out tours is a woman who battles social anxiety, values privacy over fame, and isn't afraid to challenge the expectations of stardom. How did an introverted Atlanta native rise to global fame? What makes her music hit so differently? And why does her story resonate with millions around the world? Stay with me, because I would be taking you deep into the private life of Summer Walker. Before we get started, kindly give this video a thumbs and subscribe. Before the charts, before the acclaim, before the world learned to whisper her name in quiet admiration, there was a girl in Atlanta trying to understand herself through sound. Summer Marjani Walker was born on April 11th, 1996, and raised in the thick cultural pulse of Atlanta, Georgia, a city known for giving rhythm to pain and soul to survival. But for Summer, music didn't begin as a dream of fame or success. It began as refuge. Her childhood was shaped by instability and emotional distance. Her parents separated early, and like many children growing up in fractured households, she learned independence long before she learned comfort. School never felt like a place where she belonged. The structure felt rigid, the environment overwhelming. Eventually, she dropped out of high school, choosing to navigate adulthood on her own terms rather than follow a path that didn't fit her spirit. It was a risky decision, but one that reflected who she had always been, someone guided more by intuition than convention. With no formal musical education and little money, Summer turned to the one resource she had, the internet. Late nights found her alone with a borrowed guitar and YouTube tutorials, teaching herself to play chord by chord, mistake by mistake. There was no teacher correcting her form or studio polishing her sound. What she developed instead was something far more intimate, a relationship with music built on honesty rather than perfection. Life, however, was not gentle. To support herself, she worked tirelessly, running a small cleaning business and taking on other jobs, doing what she had to do to survive. Her days were practical and exhausting, rooted in reality. Her nights belonged to music. In between shifts and responsibilities, she wrote. She sang softly, sometimes barely above a whisper, pouring unmet needs, heartbreak, and confusion into melodies that felt more like confessions than songs. Music became her emotional outlet, a place where she could say the things she struggled to express out loud. She began recording herself at home, posting raw performances online with no strategy and no expectations. Her voice wasn't polished, but it carried something rare, vulnerability without apology. She wasn't trying to impress, she was trying to be understood. Slowly, people found her, not because the music was perfect, but because it was painfully honest. There was something magnetic about a young woman singing quietly about loneliness, love, and emotional fatigue in a world that rarely makes space for softness. Long before the industry discovered her, Summer Walker had already discovered her truth, that vulnerability was not weakness, but power. Summer signed with Love Renaissance in partnership with Interscope Records later that year, stepping into the music industry without reshaping herself to fit it. Her debut commercial mixtape, Last Day of Summer, arrived in October 2018, quiet in rollout but loud in impact. The project introduced listeners to a new kind of R&B, moody, stripped down, emotionally exposed. At its center was Girls Need Love, a confessional track that spread organically across streaming platforms, resonating with listeners who heard themselves in her lyrics. The song's momentum grew until it reached a cultural tipping point. A remix featuring Drake elevated Girls Need Love from an underground favorite to a national breakthrough, earning Summer Walker her first entry on the Billboard Hot 100 and placing her squarely in the mainstream without compromising her sound. Almost overnight, she became the voice of a generation that valued honesty over perfection. In 2019, Summer released her debut studio album, Over It, and the response was seismic. The album debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and broke records for the largest streaming week ever for a female R&B artist at the time. Songs like Playing Games and Come Through showcased her ability to transform emotional fatigue, heartbreak, and self-awareness into minimalist anthems that felt both deeply personal and universal. universally understood. What made Summer's rise remarkable wasn't just commercial success, it was defiance. She openly spoke about her social anxiety and discomfort with the performative nature of fame, sometimes limiting appearances and challenging industry expectations. Instead of diluting her identity, she allowed her discomfort to shape her artistic approach, letting the music speak where she did not. Her sophomore album, Still Over It, released in 2021, marked a turning point. The project debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and shattered streaming records on Apple Music, becoming one of the most talked about albums of the decade. Structured almost like a musical screenplay of a breakup, the album blurred the line between personal experience and performance art, turning her private pain into a collective listening experience. By this point, Summer Walker had done more than secure her place in R&B, she had redefined it. Her sound influenced a wave of artists who leaned into softness, vulnerability, and emotional honesty. Industry recognition followed, with Billboard honoring her as a chart breaker and multiple award nominations affirming her cultural impact. Rather than rushing to capitalize on momentum, Summer continued to move at her own pace. Projects like Life on Earth and Clear 2, Soft Life, reflected artistic evolution rather than commercial pressure, aligning with her public advocacy for mental health, self-preservation, and emotional boundaries. As of 2026, Walker has sold over 53.5 million certified units from the RIAA between albums and songs. Success in the music industry is often loud. It announces itself with flashing lights, luxury cars, and larger-than-life personas. Summer Walker's success, however, arrived differently, quietly, steadily, and without spectacle. That quiet work translated into real wealth. As of the most recent estimates, Summer Walker's net worth sits between $4 and $6 million, depending on the valuation of ongoing royalties, streaming growth, and brand partnerships. The range itself tells a story. Summer Walker's wealth isn't built on hype-driven spikes or viral gimmicks. It's built on consistency, emotional resonance, and an audience that listens deeply and often. The foundation of her net worth is her music. Since the release of Last Day of Summer in 2018 and her breakout single Girls Need Love, Summer Walker has become one of the most streamed female R&B artists of her generation. Her debut studio album, Over It, didn't just perform well, it shattered records, becoming one of the highest streaming R&B albums by a woman and earning multi-platinum certification. That level of streaming translates into sustained royalty income across platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, where millions of monthly listeners continue to revisit her catalog daily. But albums alone don't explain her financial rise. Touring and live performances, even with her well-documented struggles with social anxiety, have added significantly to her earnings. Sold-out shows, festival appearances, and merchandise sales have brought in substantial revenue, proving that her audience is willing to show up, physically and financially, for music that speaks honestly to their experiences. Beyond music, Summer Walker has expanded her financial footprint through brand collaborations and endorsements, aligning herself selectively with companies that fit her identity rather than chasing visibility. These partnerships, along with monetized social media and YouTube revenue, contribute to the steady increase in her overall net worth. What makes her financial journey remarkable is where it began. Less than a decade ago, she was running a small cleaning business and teaching herself guitar through online tutorials. There was no generational wealth, no early industry backing, no polished plan. Every dollar behind her current net worth is tied directly to creative ownership, emotional labor, and artistic control. Some sources estimate her net worth closer to $4 million, while others place it at $6 million, particularly when factoring in upcoming releases and long-term streaming projections. But the exact figure matters less than the trajectory. Summer Walker's earnings continue to grow not because she chases the industry, but because the industry has learned to follow her. Her wealth reflects a modern kind of success, one built on vulnerability, boundaries, and authenticity. In a business that often demands overexposure, Summer Walker monetized restraint. In an era obsessed with constant output, she proved that moving slowly, honestly, and intentionally can be just as profitable. There is a moment in every artist's journey when success asks a quiet but important question: where do you go to be yourself when the world is loud? For Summer Walker, the answer is not found on a stage or in a studio, but behind gates, away from cameras, inside a home designed for peace rather than performance. Summer Walker has never presented her mansion as a trophy. While public glimpses of her lifestyle confirm that she owns a luxurious residence befitting her success, the details of her home remain deliberately guarded, reflecting her long-standing commitment to privacy and boundaries. The mansion is less about square footage and more about intention. What is known is that her home functions as a sanctuary. It is a place where silence is not empty, but intentional. Away from tour buses and recording deadlines, Summer has often expressed the need for environments that ground her, spaces filled with calm energy, natural light, and emotional safety. The mansion serves as a physical extension of that need, offering distance from the noise that fame inevitably brings. Rather than flashy opulence, her home is often associated with comfort, warmth, and spirituality. The atmosphere she curates, incense drifting through quiet rooms, soft lighting, an emphasis on natural elements, mirrors the emotional textures in her music. This is not a house built to impress visitors. It is a home built to restore its owner. Summer Walker's does not allow full tours. She does not flaunt floor plans. She does not invite the world inside. In an industry that profits from exposure, her refusal to overshare becomes powerful. The house is hers, not content. And that is the point. For Summer Walker, the mansion is not proof of wealth. It is proof of boundaries. It is a place where motherhood, creativity, healing, and solitude can coexist. A place where the artist can be quiet without disappearing, where softness is protected, not criticized. In a world that constantly demands access, Summer Walker built a space that says no. And in doing so, her mansion becomes more than a luxury residence. It becomes a statement. Success does not have to be loud to be real. Sometimes the greatest flex is peace. Unto her car collection. For Summer Walker, cars about control, about moving through the world on her own terms, protected from the chaos outside. And while her garage doesn't scream excess, it quietly reflects a level of success that was hard-earned and intentionally spent. One of the most recognized vehicles associated with Summer Walker's lifestyle is the Mercedes-Benz G-Class, widely known as the G-Wagon. It's a vehicle that balances luxury with authority, offering both security and presence. New models of the G-Class typically range from $145,000 to over $180,000, depending on trim and customization. This isn't a car chosen for subtlety, it's chosen for strength. High ground clearance, armored doors, and a commanding driving position make it ideal for someone who values safety and personal space as much as style. Alongside bold luxury, there's a quieter side to her taste. Summer Walker has also been associated with Tesla models, particularly those designed for comfort and sustainability rather than flash. A Tesla Model X, known for its spacious interior and smooth, silent performance, generally falls between $80,000 and $100,000, depending on configuration. The appeal isn't the badge, it's the calm. No engine roar, no unnecessary attention, just a clean, modern ride that aligns with her wellness-centered lifestyle. More compact, but equally refined, a Tesla Model S, often favored by artists who want speed without spectacle, typically ranges from $75,000 and $95,000. With its minimalist interior and nearly soundless acceleration, it functions less like a sports car and more like a moving meditation chamber. What ties these vehicles together is not price, but intention. Whether it's a six-figure SUV built like a fortress or an electric sedan designed for silence, each car meets a practical need: family space, privacy, reliability during touring, emotional distance from constant visibility. These are not impulse purchases, they are investments in peace. Altogether, a collection built around vehicles in these categories places the estimated value of Summer Walker's garage anywhere between $250,000 and $400,000, depending on trims, upgrades, and how many models are currently in use. Yet even that figure misses the point. Her vehicles don't exist to be photographed, they exist to function, to carry her from studio to home, from public life back into solitude. In an industry obsessed with being seen, Summer Walker chooses to be protected, even while moving forward. Next up is her personal life. To understand Summer Walker's personal life, you have to understand what she values most: honesty, boundaries, and emotional safety. Long before fame placed her under constant scrutiny, Summer had already learned how fragile peace could be. And even as success amplified her voice, it also magnified her need to protect her inner world. From the beginning of her career, Summer Walker has been transparent about her struggles with severe social anxiety disorder, a condition she has described as physically overwhelming and emotionally exhausting. She has spoken openly about how public appearances, award shows, and even performing can trigger intense fear and discomfort, leading her to cancel tours and limit interactions when necessary. Instead of masking her pain, she chose vulnerability, even when it invited misunderstanding and criticism. Her openness extended beyond mental health into her romantic life, most notably her highly publicized relationship with producer London on the Track. The two met while working on her debut album, Over It, and their relationship, passionate, unstable, and deeply emotional, became the emotional backbone of her music. They welcomed a daughter together in 2021, but the relationship ultimately ended amid public conflict, co-parenting tensions, and emotional strain. Rather than retreating from the narrative, Summer processed her experience through art. Her album, Still Over It, played out like an emotional diary, capturing heartbreak, betrayal, motherhood, and self-realization in real time. The music resonated because it wasn't polished, it was honest. Motherhood marked a profound shift in her personal life. Summer has repeatedly emphasized how becoming a mother forced her to confront herself more deeply, prioritize healing, and redefine what peace looks like. She has since welcomed 3 children, including twins born in late 2022, and has been vocal about dedicating herself to breaking generational cycles and creating a calmer, more intentional life for her family. Her journey through postpartum depression and emotional burnout further reinforced her advocacy for mental health, especially for Black women who are often dismissed or misdiagnosed. Summer has spoken about therapy, self-work, and stepping away from environments that feel unsafe, regardless of public expectation. Over time, her personal philosophy evolved into what she now calls a soft life. Not a life without hardship, but one where rest, boundaries, and emotional truth are non-negotiable. She's become more selective with relationships, retreated from unnecessary visibility, and chosen privacy over constant access. This has sometimes been mistaken for distance, but for Summer Walker, it is survival. Summer Walker's personal life is not perfect, it is human, and in that humanity, she has found her power. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.